Efferth. I am the Family Preservation Administrator in Hall County, and actually a fairly new GPHSA member. I believe I signed up last year at some point, so I'm just excited to actually be on this in the first place. So myself and Lynn Green are going to be talking with you guys today about the NCWWI Leadership Academy and what you guys can expect from that if you're interested, and just learn more about it to see if it would be a good fit for anybody on the call today. So we're really excited to talk to you guys about it. Let's see if we, there we go. Okay, so to give you guys a little bit of background, the NCWWI as a whole, it's the National Child Welfare Workforce Institute. They have different workforce excellence sites around the United States, as you can see. And we are actually fortunate enough to be one of those. There was a pretty stringent application process for this back in 2019, maybe even the end of 2018. And a lot of different folks and sites around the United States applied to be in this partnership with NCWWI. And we were so fortunate enough to be selected as our state agency. And so you can see all the different ones. There are some tribal ones, some different universities, and then I believe that DFCS in Arkansas is also a part of this as well. So we are fortunate to be one of the, I believe 7 or 8 sites around the United States to be in this. So that's just a little bit of background. So basically NCWWI has engaged us in a 5-year partnership. It says project, but I like to say partnership. So it'll be from, again, 2019. So we're already very much in it, and going up until 2023. And the whole goal of this and why we applied is in order to really continue to build Georgia DFCS into a healthy, like a long-term healthy child welfare workforce. And as you can see, that can just continue to lead us to this positive outcomes for our children, our families in Georgia. And they have a lot of resources to help us do that. So the different ways that they support us and have supported us so far is they come in initially and they assess our workforce. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes about how they did that. They develop a plan alongside us to target some different areas that they found maybe some areas of opportunity. Then they're going to begin alongside us with implementing strategies to address some of those targeted areas. And in that, there's a lot of different aspects of that. So you guys may have heard mention of some action teams around the different regions. I believe right now there's one in each district, so North, South, and Metro. And that's a way to, on a county level and at a regional level, address some of those targeted areas for opportunity. And those will continue to be put out as the years go by. We have different staff that are being invested in to get their MSW degree. So NCWWI is actually paying for a lot of different staff around the state to be with a university partner in Georgia and pursue that next level of education and really target, preparing folks to be, strong members of the child welfare workforce. And then we also have what we're going to talk to you guys about today is the Leadership Academy. So, DFCS already has a Leadership Academy, but this NCWWI Leadership Academy, and it's called LIFT, is alongside that. And it's just an additional way to again, kind of pour into staff and teach them and help grow them in a leadership capacity to be a really great leader and contributor in child welfare in the state. And so those are just a few different things that, NCWWI is seeking to do and is already very much in the process of doing so far. So, like I said, just to kind of summarize that, NCWWI's purpose is really to increase the overall effectiveness of child welfare practice through that partnership with them. So they're looking at workforce development, different interventions that we as an organization can implement, and then change leadership, right? So, sorry, I think I got feedback. So basically using that data-driven capacity building, education, and professional development. And all these different ways are going to just help us as an organization continue to build those positive outcomes for our children and families around the state and prepare staff to do that.
All right, thanks, Haley. My name is Lynn Green, and I am, I think, one of the newest members of the NCWWI communications team, and also Vice President of GPHSA, and also a NCWWI Leadership Development Coach for this current round. And so I was really excited when I went to the communications meeting last week, and there was mention of wanting to speak to GPHSA members, and we just happened to have a cancellation for today's on the menu. So we have put this presentation together pretty quickly, but I think it's just a really good overview of kind of the background, kind of the history that brought us to where we're at, and a little bit about the current Leadership Academy, and then what's next, what we're looking for as far as participants and coaches as we go forward. I wanted to share this graphic because it's talked a lot about in the Leadership Academy, and it looks at the phases of workforce development, which is exploration, planning, implementation, and then evaluation and sustainability. But it also looks at 10 different components of workforce development. And these are 10 areas that were really, really looked at closely in our COHA, which Haley's going to talk about next. But these are 10 areas that if we address and can make improvements on, it will have a drastic impact on our workforce. And is everything from recruitment and selection to professional development to community engagement, inclusivity, all the way around the circle. There's lots of different components that go into this. So really there's something for everyone. I think most of us, as we kind of read around that outside circle, we see at least one or two that kind of interest us. And so I'm going to let Haley talk about the COHA and some of the results, and then we'll go into kind of the purpose of the Leadership Academy and how that all ties in.
Yeah, thanks, Lynn. So, as Lynn mentioned, we alongside NCWWI had a great evaluation team that implemented this, conducted a really comprehensive, literally it's in the title, Comprehensive Organizational Health Assessment, or COHA, as you're going to hear us refer to it, of DFACS. So basically, I'm not sure if you guys actually were able to participate in that, but it was a big survey that went out to all staff, and it actually got a really excellent response rate. I want to say it was something like 64% of staff responded, which is excellent. So we had a lot of information and data from that. And the reason for that survey going out was to really, again, really build the foundation of what are our strengths, right? And what are some challenges that we as an agency are aware of and can work on and implement some things to address those. And that really helped. And I believe that there actually will be at some point another survey to kind of figure out, where are we now? Now that we've done these different things, how is that impacting us? So that's the reason that this was done initially. There we go. So some different things that were addressed in that COHA. Everything under the sun you can think about. We're looking at, some of those individual areas, right? So burnout, like staff burnout, how satisfied are folks with their jobs, secondary trauma, just to name a few of those, self-care, all the way over to even, community ones. How do we work alongside community partners? What does that look like? And then also just organizational ones. So leadership, how do staff view leadership and what does that look like? The culture of our agency, is it, a culture of learning? Are there opportunities there to strengthen that? And then, even in the individual offices, we're looking at peer-to-peer support, job stress. And one particular area I thought was pretty interesting was just your physical environment, right? Your office itself, which I know is pretty foreign to us right now with all things COVID, but seeing how the physical environment can affect someone in child welfare. So those are just a few different things that the COHA measured, but they actually addressed all those different areas. So there were a lot of strengths that came out of that. I mean, a lot, which is really great. Obviously, first and foremost, I'm sure you guys know this, but we're a committed, a passionate workforce. We want to serve our communities in a culturally responsive and a really holistic way. We are very passionate about making sure that happens. Staff were able to articulate in this COHA that there is an increased effort by leadership to engage staff and shift away from that culture of fear and punitive culture to really prioritizing well-being of staff and learning, right? Learning from situations that happen, from mistakes that are made, things like that, which is excellent. And then again, just a really active engagement of our community partners to build that network of Care for Georgia, that holistic state of Georgia prioritizing child welfare, which is pretty excellent. But with all things, right, there are some opportunities. I like to call them opportunities instead of challenges, because I feel like that kind of lends itself to the point of a challenge, which is it is an opportunity for change. So there is a lengthy and cumbersome recruitment, selection, hiring process. I know you guys are like, oh my gosh, like you're really triggering me right now. I mean, we all know that that's the case, right? So, but also, just a need for training at all levels, especially those for supervision, like going into supervision, really preparing staff for that transition. It really discussed that there are really high levels of time pressure, job stress, work-related burnout, some of those things, again, that I'm sure you guys, hear about on, can sometimes be a daily basis from different folks. They talked about a complicated leadership structure, too many initiatives. So like implementation fatigue is what you call that, right? Things coming into place, but confusion on how that gets put into the counties. And then just a lack of dialogue around those issues of race, equity, and inclusion. So those were just a summary of some of the challenges that we found in the COHA.
Thanks, Haley. And so we really wanted to kind of move into, and I'm going to actually put the slide backwards for just a second, back to our last slide, what the Leadership Academy, that one specific effort, what that focuses on and what that entails for both participants and for coaches. The Leadership Academy is in all about a year-long commitment. And that involves some pre-work. It involves some what would generally be classroom work, but we all know that that's virtual right now. And then a change project. And the change project is really the bulk of, really the big product of Leadership Academy. And everybody can pick every participant can select their own topic for a change project. But we really do want to work on these workforce opportunities, like Haley said. And so we really want our change projects to have something to impact, our hiring process, our training, burnout of our stress, the administrative burden, all of these things that we know and have seen and heard from well over half of our staff at DFCS that these are areas that need attention. And so the Leadership Academy, the real goal is to address these areas. So for a Leadership Academy participant, if you are considering wanting to apply to be a participant for our next session, I'm going to take you through the three areas, the pre-work, the modules, and then kind of the monthly coaching and after work. But the initial pre-work, the total time commitment is about 8 hours over a 3-month period. And it really entails some online foundation modules. Every leadership participant completes a 360 degree assessment. And hopefully a strength finder. We had a little bit of issues with that this year. But the 360 assessment, if you've not had one of those done, it is an incredible source of information where you answer a lot of questions about yourself as a leader and as an employee, but also Surveys are sent to your staff that you supervise, your peers, your supervisors, and any community partners that you interact with regularly. And all of that information is sent back to the evaluation team, and you get a report that really shows what your strengths are and where are your areas of opportunity to increase your leadership. All of the feedback that you receive is all anonymous. You don't know who said what, but it is really great to get some outside perspective and see, you know, how your perception of yourself lines up with the outside perspective. During the pre-work, you also talk about your change projects with your coach. You'll be meeting with your coach for a couple readiness sessions prior to even starting the Leadership Academy. And so your coaches will help guide you and help narrow down your focus of your change project to make sure that it's really in line and kind of falls into some of the categories that we talked about. The actual Leadership Academy modules, you can see there are 5, and these take place, and it says here, a 1-day in-person classroom training. Right now, again, those are virtual, but you will be in a cohort with people in similar roles, between 10 and 25 people. You'll do those online modules, and then an online day of classroom training, and then a coaching session. And that will all be done within 1 month. The second month, you go on to module 2, and you'll do some online work, and then your online classroom training, and then your coaching session. So after each training, you have the opportunity to sit down with your coach and talk through what you've talked about as far as fundamentals of leadership, leading change, leading for results, leading in context, and leading people, and really how you can take all of that information and apply it to your change project. Now it says here the total time commitment is 8 hours a month for these 5 months. And this is from NCWWI, so I honor that. However, I can say it is a little bit more than that. Talking to participants that are currently going through and also seeing it myself, to put good work into your change project and your coaching sessions, it's going to be a little bit more than 8 hours per month. But it is well worth it. This is an incredible opportunity with incredible information and the opportunity to really have an impact on the work that we do. And so if there are more questions about the time commitment for this portion, I'm happy to talk with you or refer you to some participants that can tell you kind of what they deal with. And then the final part of it is monthly coaching. 5 to 6 monthly calls after you complete the academy to support your leadership development and also implementing your change project. And again, that is the time commitment is another 5 to 6 months, 45 minutes to an hour each month. So not as much of a time commitment, but you'll still also be working on implementing that change project. So we want to talk about characteristics if you are interested in being a part of the leadership development program as a participant. What characteristics do we really need to look for as we're selecting participants? And ideally, we want somebody with leadership aspirations. And you may already be in a leadership position, and that's great. And you might not know really what your full aspirations are, but you have an interest in learning. So someone who has that greater leadership aspiration. We need big thinkers that want to initiate change within our agency. And then somebody that has ideas, but maybe needs just a little bit of support in order to implement them and make them come to life. I talked about the change project, and what's very different about this from other leadership academies that I've seen is the change project is a project on a very large scale. It's a project on how to guide the path of our agency. It's not for your specific unit or your specific county even. It's really things that could be implemented statewide to better our service to children and families and strengthen our workforce. So again, that's where we go back to the big thinker that has some ideas that just needs that little bit of extra support to put those in motion and have this behind you. We know that that can also sound really overwhelming, but we know that our frontline staff, our frontline supervisors, administrators, county staff have incredible ideas that never see the light of day because of the whirlwind of work that we deal with on every single day. So this is an opportunity for those people that have those aspirations to really take advantage and make an impact. Now, coaches, if you are interested in becoming a leadership development coach, there is a 12-week coaches development program, which is all virtual. I believe it was 1 day a week for very intensive. However, it was also really, really great. We got to break out into smaller groups. And now I have a small cohort of 3 other coaches that we have built relationships with. And we reach out to each other pretty regularly to just talk through things and bounce ideas off each other. So it's been a really great networking opportunity to meet other people in leadership across the state. There's a 1-day train the trainer curriculum walkthrough, and you'll also get to go through all 5 modules of the Leadership Academy so that you understand and really know what our participants are going through. And then you will provide monthly coaching on the change project and any leadership development goals that our participants have. And what's really interesting to me is the coaching process is one of the things we talk about on the first day is how different it is from mentoring. And mentoring, if you have mentored somebody, it's usually more of the technical side, like let me show you what I know how to do and let me teach you. And coaching is really being able to pull information out of the participants. And so as a coach, you are not there to give answers. You are there to support and challenge and ask questions so that the participants can really think through the process themselves. So for our coaches, a couple of the characteristics that we for when selecting leadership development coaches is that, first of all, that background knowledge in child welfare concepts. That's pretty important. And then attributes and skills that enable you to engage the participants in this coaching. So we want to make sure that, I mean, it is hard to engage now virtually, even though we've been doing it for almost a year, but being able to really engage with the participants that you're paired up with. Helping participants apply their new learning to their working environment and change projects. So again, guiding them on how best to use the information that they're getting. And then providing emotional and practical support throughout the whole process. Professional resources for their change efforts and really just kind of holding their hand along the way. And it, you know, being a coach is a really great thing. It is a real challenge. I think a lot of us are really used to being mentors, and in talking with other coaches, a lot of us have kind of been taken aback by what the difference is and how we've never acted in this way before. So it's a great opportunity if you have interest in really expanding some of your leadership skills to coaching. I recommend it. So what we wanted to do, I said earlier that I am a leadership development coach, but I have asked a couple other of our coaches to join us, and they very eagerly volunteered. And I'm so glad that they're here. And I wanted to introduce Sharona Robinson and Evelyn Bryant. And they are two of the other coaches that are currently working with this session of the Leadership Academy. And I asked them to just come on and just talk for a minute or two about their experiences, what it's been like, the challenges, the benefits, and lay it all out there. And also talk about what they see as characteristics that are good for both participants and coaches. So thank you both for joining us. And I'm gonna go ahead and let Sharona start, and then Evelyn will go to you.
All right, coming off mute. Good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Sharona Robinson, and I am a permanency administrator at Cobb County. I took on the brave task of being a coach. And I can be honest, I really didn't know what I was signing up for, but I will tell you that, it definitely was a pleasure. I learned a lot. I think that, the person that I coached, or my coachee, was amazing. The match was really good, with her and I, and we really enjoyed our time together. So if I had to think of like any challenges to this process, I would say that just that time commitment, juggling, our work and our everyday, lives, the work that we are responsible for, on top of, being a part of this is a big commitment. So I think that was a challenge, but, it was one of those things that, I was definitely committed to seeing it through the end. So although it was a challenge, it was something that I think made it a better benefit to me as too, because again, I definitely did want to see it to the end. I would say one of the benefits that I feel for me as being a coach and being a part of it was that, my group that I built and we formed, we had really great discussions. We were able to, practice our coaching skills and the things that we learned, on each other before we had to go out and meet with our coaches. So I think that was very, very helpful, because when you're, used to being a solver in a sense, someone who just kind of, knows how to solve the problem, you have to kind of pull back a little bit when you're a coach, because, you want to be able to provide, that person that you're coaching with those tools to be able to just be self-aware and to arrive to those needed conclusions themselves. So that was a big difference and a big shift for me in my thinking. Natural solver, wanted to just, kind of give answers and do this, I definitely had to shift my mind frame to that coaching aspect. Some of the characteristics I feel that a person who would be a coach should have is the ability to inspire, others, be a great listener, advocate for change and growth, because that's continual, there's things that you learn in this process. The ability to be solution focused or ask solution focused questions, so that you're kind of cultivating that self-reflection and self-awareness. I think that those are some very, very important skills for a coach. And if I had to think of some characteristics for a participant, or, if you're participating in this process, I would say that, just being open to the process. Someone who can definitely embrace change, someone who has the ability to be open and honest, and also be self-aware, within themselves, or be able to self-reflect on things. Know that change is good, and, being self-aware. Even if you're not self-aware, that desire to learn, or being able to open to, adapt to that. Overall, I could say that I think that the whole experience just will make me a better leader. I think that, it allowed me to think about what my contributions will be, and to help build better leaders, to be able to just, work with others, and you're touching a whole lot of people, because the person also has a team of people that they're coaching, and, the information that, we're doing, I'm sharing, that transfer of learning, I think will be able to touch, more people. And I think that it was very, cool to see, when you're coaching and you're, asking those questions, that person, derive to those answers of what needs to be done. A lot of times they already know, but they're, bringing, to the forefront. And as a coach, you're asking questions so that they can come to that conclusion on their own, and just seeing, their mind thinking, their eyes, or just that piece of them really, really thinking, like, coming to those answers and conclusions. Very rewarding, I would say, in a sense. So that was my experience, and I really, really enjoyed this process. It's long, but it's well worth it, and you'll get a lot out of it, whether you're a coach or a coachee.
Sharona,
Thank you.
meet again. Hello, everyone. My name is Evelyn Bryant. I am the lead field program specialist for safety for Region 13. And, I'm so glad Sharona went first, because I mean, she pretty much looped it all in, and what she said is absolutely true. And I think one of the biggest challenges just for the coach as well as the coachee is to really embrace this new learning, be open to learning. And it is very challenging because we're so used to looking at the technical side of things and the task side of things. This allows not only for the coach and the coachee is to really develop a relationship with that change together. And we're leading, we're not pulling, we're not pushing, but we're leading that coachee to explore and go deeper within themselves to really answer those questions that they really have already, to really meet those goals that they already have. The Change Project is, a project that the coachee develops, that is developed around the work that they do. It could be a new project, it can be an existing project, it can be a project that you want to add on to, but nonetheless, it will be beneficial to your agency in the long run. I know when I first came on board, I did not know what I was signing up for. It just said leadership. Oh yeah, I want it. And because I see myself as a leader, and I wanted to do anything I can to grow in my walk in becoming the leader that I want to become, and also to share the experiences that I do have. I have over 20 plus years of child welfare experience, and it's like, I know I have something I can bring to the table, but I also know that I have something that I can learn as well. And so it's really a collaboration between you and your coachee to really help move the needle another inch, another foot, and really dig in and bring some good graces to the children and families we serve, because that's really what we're all here for.
Excellent. Thank you both so much. It's so good to get the perspective from more than one person. And it's especially good to see that I think all of us have the same perspective going through it. One thing that they both, I think, pointed out was that in the beginning, we didn't really know what we were getting into. Whether it was coaching or participants, the same way, we really had no idea. We just knew that it was going to be a good opportunity. And really honestly, there's some participants that have stepped back and said, I can't do this. This is not what I expected. It's too much. I'm really looking forward to the second session of Leadership Academy, because I think we have, well, obviously we have a better idea of what we're dealing with.
Absolutely.
Too. And so I think this will also give us an opportunity to, recruit better fits for the program and recruit some more great coaches. I know some of us as coaches may stay on for the second round. And so, it's such a great opportunity. As Evelyn said, embracing the process. It's hard. but it is worth it. It really does help to build relationships. I have built relationships with people from across the state as a coach, but also as a peer with the other coaches. It's been really great. And I don't really know of any other way that we have an opportunity to impact our agency as a whole. This is really the first time I've seen something on this scale. So it really is exciting. It's a big responsibility, but it's also an equally big opportunity. We want to talk just real quickly about what's next. We are currently in the middle, nearing the end of our first group of Leadership Academy. And soon, within the next several weeks, hopefully, you should start seeing information coming out to you on recruiting for our next session. It'll take place this year, later on this year. Hopefully start dates looking toward the summer, but we're still working on getting that all narrowed down. But if you are interested in being either a participant or a coach, keep your eyes open, watch your email for information on applying, and also start to have some conversations with your leadership. Again, we need to have your leadership's buy-in because it is a time commitment. And we all know that we all have jobs to do. And this is in addition to your job. It's not, nothing gets taken off of you, but it is an opportunity. And so making sure that you have had those conversations with your leadership, whether or not this would be a good fit for you and your agency in your current situation. So I'm gonna stop there for a second. I did put my email address and Haley's email address on this last slide. If you have any questions that you think of after our presentation here today, feel free to email either one of us. If we don't know an answer, we know who to go to for those answers. And I'm gonna hand it over to Haley, and then we'll just see if anybody on the call has any questions that you'd like to ask or anything else that we can tell you about the Academy.
Yeah, just to wrap us up, I just want to encourage you guys again to, get plugged in, whether it's through the Leadership Academy like we talked about today, or through an action team. Anything that is coming your way that you hear a whisper about NCWWI, definitely tune in, listen up, because it is very much, you're a part of change. And that's what I think I love the most about it. So that's honestly all I was going to say. It's just shameless plug for all the parts of it. But yeah, I would love to hear questions from anybody on the call about the Leadership Academy, or really any part of this if you do have one. I'm gonna grab my charger from my computer real quick, and then if you guys have any questions, please feel free to speak up.
And if you don't want to speak up, you are welcome to put a question in the chat. We'll also, I will send out to all of you that attended here today, I'll send you out a one-pager of information on both the Academy for participants and the coach's description that we used for this past Academy, so that you have a little bit more information for you to consider, or if you want to share that with anybody in your office, any of your staff that might be interested. So before we wrap up, are there any questions? Any comments? All right, Scott, it looks like your name lit up. I don't know if you were trying to say something. I didn't hear anything, but I did get a little gold box around your name. It looked like you were trying to come off mute. Okay, well, if nobody has any questions, thank you all for attending today. We're really excited about this next session that will start hopefully soon in the next several months. I'll be sure to share that information with you later on this afternoon, the one-pagers for each. And again, if you have any questions that come up after this call, feel free to reach out to either Haley or myself, and we are happy to help you get in contact with whoever you need. So thank you all. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next month on GPHSA on the menu. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.